Do you recall when I talked about the hydrologic cycle and I told you that when precipitation hits the ground, one of two things happens? It either soaks into the ground and becomes groundwater, or it flows across the surface as runoff. Anytime water is moving across the surface, we characterize that water that's moving across the surface as runoff. In any particular area, the amount of runoff is contingent upon four things. First of all, the amount of precipitation. If you live in a very dry area and a very small amount of precipitation falls, that water is probably going to soak straight into the ground. However, if you live in an area where either it's dry and you suddenly get a lot of precipitation, or it's always raining, what's going to happen is there is going to be a significantly larger amount of runoff. The second thing is the permeability of the ground. In other words, the ability of the ground to absorb the water that is hitting it. If you live in an area where the landscape is almost all solid granite, well, granite does not absorb water. Therefore, all the water is going to run off. But if you live in an area where the surface, the ground area, is made up of rocks and gravel and soil, that's very likely to absorb moisture. So when the precipitation comes down, the water is going to be able to soak into the ground. The third thing is slope. We've kind of already met this, right? If the area has a very steep slope, the water tends to flow across it very quickly. However, if the area has a gentle slope, what ends up happening is the water is able to pool up and therefore soak into the ground. Then the fourth thing is the amount of vegetation cover. When there's a lot of vegetation cover, that tends to hold the water in place and allow it to soak into the ground. When there is not a lot of vegetation cover, the water does tend to flow across that surface. This is a particularly important thing for California because we get so many fires in California. When the vegetation burns off, and then that's followed later on in the year by our rainy season, what ends up happening is the rain comes down, there's no vegetation to hold anything in place, and then we get these mudslides and landslides.